Senate Nominations Committee is still deciding if they should recommend Texas Secretary of State David Whitley to receive a full Senate vote. Last week, the Governor Abbott appointee was grilled about a controversial voting list his office released that claimed as many as 100,000 non-citizens had voted. Since that report was released, as many as 20,000 names on the list have turned out to be naturalized citizens. It's prompted several lawsuits and calls for Whitley to step down. Here to talk about this is Travis County GOP Executive Director Spencer Davis and Ed Espinoza from Progress, Texas. Ed, Whitley claims that his office did nothing wrong. Do you agree with that?
Well, I don't agree. I think that Whitley is the #1 elections official in the state of Texas, has great responsibility. And with this responsibility, he didn't really do the right thing. What he essentially did was he took bad data from the Department of Public Safety, and he said, these are people who maybe should not have registered to vote. So he then sent that list to the counties, and he said the counties would need to send a letter to the voters asking them to prove that they're registered. And if they didn't do that, they would then be unregistered. Now, imagine if you're one of these 95,000 people who is on one of these lists and you didn't see the letter, or you did everything right and suddenly the state is telling you that you are guilty until proven innocent. That is unjust. It is a bad start for somebody who is barely 1 month into the job, and he shouldn't be serving as the Secretary of State.
Spencer Davis, what did his office do wrong, if anything?
I think he was as transparent as he could be. I think a lot of people are mistaking him coming out and saying, hey, there might be some people that voted that weren't allowed to be voting, was just pure transparency. So I wouldn't say they did anything wrong. I think other people may have, on both sides, may have taken that and run with the wrong conclusion. But what Mr. Whitley did was just say, hey, here is a project that the last Secretary of State worked on for about a year before I even got here. Here are the conclusions as best as we could present them today, as far as I am allowed by law to go. And now it is up to the counties and maybe the Texas Attorney General to take it from there. But all he did was set out a process that said, this is what we have. It is not perfect. I think he agreed with that by saying in all caps, these are weak matches. But I think that was him being fair and measured and transparent, rather than him trying to throw out some red meat there. We've needed a Secretary of State like this for a long time that can be proactive and say, this system, it's too decentralized. We need to have one single database. And this is something that should have been done 22 years ago. And I think Mr. Whitley is the first one to show that he is willing to take that on.
Ed Espinoza, will he be confirmed as Texas Secretary of State? Should he?
Well, I don't think he should. My organization has actually called for him to not be confirmed. But beyond that, will he be confirmed? He needs Democratic votes in the Senate right now. I don't know where he gets those. There was a telling moment in the Nominations Committee last week where one of the senators asked Whitley, what does voter suppression look like? And his response, again, as the top election official in the state, he said, I don't think it matters what my opinion is on voter suppression. And that's just bewildering. And the senator's response was, well, it matters to me if you expect me to vote for you. So I think that this is a problem. Not only was this process a problem, and maybe he was misunderstood. I don't believe that's the case. But let's say that he was misunderstood. The Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton, has asked for prosecutorial authority to go after some of these people. The president himself tweeted that people voted illegally. They didn't, but that's what he tweeted.
Right.
This has now become a problem, and it's going to be used as the basis for a law in the legislature that will require people to produce birth certificates in order to register to vote. Now, I don't know about you, Mike, but I don't walk around with my birth certificate, and I know a lot of other people don't either. So this is a spiraling issue that is out of control.
So, Spencer, I mean, do you think there's going to be trouble with him going forward because of this?
I don't think there's going to be any trouble going forward. I think it's been a more heated and definitely more conversational nomination process for secretaries of state we've seen in the past, but I think he's handling that very well. And I think he absolutely should be confirmed. Look, every Texas resident that is eligible to vote should be allowed every opportunity to vote. And I don't think he's disagreeing with that. He is just saying we need to make sure that these elections in our past were absolutely solid. And I don't think he, nor myself, nor a lot of Republicans would be disappointed if that list came back and there was nobody on that list that was ineligible to vote at the time.
Okay.
We're just taking the steps to make sure that that is a true statement.
All righty. Got to wrap it up. Ed, Spencer, thank you both very much.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Mike.